Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John, back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing tonight?
Good. I've never spent this much time talking off the air, though. So
I know. Usually we hit record early. You guys I feel like the listeners really missed out on some gems.
We'll bring it all back up.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, it's coming back. Don't worry.
Well, we have some of our favorite people in the show tonight. Kelly Starrett, who's been on a couple of times. Juliet, it's the first time we've had you on, so welcome.
I know. Thank you guys for having us. I'm so excited to talk to you.
What's going to happen is everyone's going to, if they go back and listen, they'll be like, oh.
That's not true.
Dim light bulb next to the J-Star. Welcome to the brains.
Untrue.
Here's a fun fact. One of our episodes we did with you to this day is still our most listened to episode.
It's the one where we were talking about Jillian Michaels.
Yeah, we were roasting the hell out of her, and people love that. We should do that some more.
We really should.
It was fun.
Yeah, do you have any memes teed up right now? Could you just pop one right now?
What, to make fun of her?
Yeah.
No, it was never like name calling. It was always like
no. I understand.
I'd have to see one of her silly moves, and I'd give the move a name. You know, like she's busy telling us that we don't know what we're doing in CrossFit, and then putting out these videos of like these crazy kettlebell swings and standing on medicine balls and just pure ridiculousness.
Satire. Well, people forgot it was satire.
I would just like to say too, before we get started, in the dumpster fire that is the social media universe, I would like to thank you guys for being a beacon of joy and hilarity amongst all the chaos.
And we only say that so we're never at the too pointy end of the stick, just near the pointy end of the stick.
Just the blunt end of the stick is really that's where I live.
I can take that hit.
That's kind of my
it's well deserved.
My like Britney Spears at her worst made into a meme about me. That's the blunt end of the stick.
I just looked at that one.
My favorite meme. That's my favorite. This is my favorite meme of me that you've ever posted.
Truly. I know, but I got so much hate for it.
No, I loved it. I reposted it.
I know, but I got hate for it. Everybody's like, you can't make fun of Nikki for not wearing makeup. I'm like, I'm absolutely going to make fun of Nikki for not wearing makeup on my show.
Shit can. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
I'm like, I can make fun of Nikki. Nobody else is allowed to make fun of Nikki.
Exactly. There's context.
That's where the line is drawn. 100%.
That's the rule. It's like making fun of one of my kids. I can make fun of my kids. You can't make fun of my kids.
100%.
That's so good. I miss you people.
My very old kids.
How are you guys? How is life? A lot has happened since the last time we've seen you guys, I feel like.
Man, we are good. I mean, we are, cruising around the world talking about this book, but more importantly, we have a kid that's sort of waiting to hear where she's going to college and about to graduate from high school, which is crazy.
Oh my God.
And, but
we're all good. Where's she applied so far? Where's she want to go?
Well, she really wants to go to University of Michigan, has not yet heard. She is into UT Austin, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, UC Santa Cruz, Boulder, University of Oregon. She's been rejected from all the other UCs.
Okay.
And UNC Chapel Hill.
She got in Santa Cruz and Davis.
That's true, but all the other ones. Yeah. Waitlisted a few places. So I mean, she's got some choices. But we're holding out a deep hope that she'll get into University of Michigan.
But it's a little bit like playing the lottery, or how we approach every workout. How is this workout going to go? I don't know. We'll find out. That's a little bit of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Unknown and unknowable.
Are there like specific programs that is there like a thing that she wants to, okay.
Yeah. So she wants to, you guys may not know this, but she actually owns her own business. She has a subscription cookie company called Georgia's Bake Shop.
Ships all over the nation.
She's been running since 2021, and she bakes cookies and ships all over the U.S. And so
there's a little commercial bakery near us that she rents space, and then she has this little cookie empire.
And it's pretty crazy, right? Because if you're a young person, you can like open a Shopify account and create a website pretty easily. And, she like was able to hire some person online that she didn't know for $100 to create a logo, right? So it's amazing like how easy it is for someone like her. I mean, not easy because obviously it takes will and motivation, but I mean, she, it was relatively simple from a technology standpoint. But anyway, she wants to study economics. And so that's where she's been getting into some economics programs out and about. I think she'll most likely do some kind of business.
Honestly, look at all the people in our universe, in our orbit, who own their own businesses, work for themselves. I think it was just, sometimes we talk in, CrossFit we can't see where all this is going. We see this next generation of kids who've grown up and like, of course I can swing kettlebell. Like Georgia, you'll like this, you guys. Georgia's engaged in a like death match of wills with the strength and conditioning coach at her high school.
And just for context, she's a senior. And so this has been happening for 4 years now.
So this coach is like, you have to come through the basics. And Georgia's like, nah, bro, I snatch, I can clean and jerk. Like, what do you need me to see? Like, what do you see?
Yeah. She's like, can I get a test out? And he's like, what's a test out?
He's like, you have to come through my basics. She's like, so I can show you how to plank and lunge. She's like, I'm not doing that. She's like, I've been weightlifting and training my whole life. Like, what is it you need me to see? And so she's just like, hey, Anton, can I come in and back squat at lunch? And he's like, no. So imagine you have a 17-year-old girl who's like, hey, coach, can I come and back squat at lunch? Wouldn't you be like, yeah, come on in, let me watch? And be like, nope, can't do it again. You know, like give her all the rope to hang herself with. But that's Juliet Starrett in a nutshell. Like this kid knows how to cook, knows how to, you know, strength train.
Snatch,
and also
she can snatch.
And yeah, she can snatch because that's what the family's about. And then here she is. She's like, well, I might as well start my own business.
Oh my God, she's the coolest kid I've ever met. Oh my God.
It is kind of funny though, that we're out here, you know, trying to help humanity with better health. And then meanwhile, we're shipping these cookies because, you know, half our subscribers, of course, are our friends. And many of them are, you know, CrossFit and otherwise fitness enthusiasts.
Cookies.
So yeah, it's a new thing. We're challenging their fitness with face-size cookies sent to them once a month.
Isn't part of a well-lived, healthy life all about balance? Isn't it?
We couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We could not agree more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Life's not worth living if you can't eat face-size cookies.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I mean, cookies have been like the weak link for me. I'm just like, I buy cookies and then no one in the house is safe until the cookies are gone. So lately, though, for the last year or so, particularly, I would come home and there'll be 400 gigantic chocolate chip cookies on the counter. And I'm like, was this exposure therapy? Like, I'm going to get over it eventually if I just get sick.
I will say, though, the larger the volume, the less intriguing they are. You're like, well, there's 400 cookies on our dining room table right now. You're kind of like, I think I'll pass.
Yeah.
True.
Don't you think?
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would not be the case for me. I'd be like, there's 400 opportunities for me to eat.
Or you can't do it. Eventually, like you really do. You're like, okay, I'm good.
It sounds like a challenge.
And you know, when you're like me and, you know, 49 years old, turning 50 in literally 1 month, and you get adult onset acne from your daughter's chocolate chip cookies, like that also reshapes your, that sort of reshapes your motivation there. So, you know.
Oh my God, that's not fair. Oh my God. Well, good for her, you guys. That's insane.
Yeah, this is the same kid, you guys, that was in all the little videos. Like,
yeah, right?
Same little kid.
I feel like we watched her grow up. It's crazy.
You did. You watched her like deadlift develop.
Yeah. And also, like, I love a young entrepreneur. Like, it is so hard to get anything off the ground, be it a YouTube channel or a podcast or a full-on business. Like it takes so much thought and dedication and effort and a shitload of bad days that you need to like plow through.
There's so much going on in the local CrossFit community in the gym. People see the world a little differently. They see the possibilities. They see that like this concept of hyper locality where like you can exercise in your own home gym and control that and bring your friends in. I think it's a narrative shift about what's possible a little bit. Well, I'm interested to see how some of the ramifications and ripples effects are of this generation of kids who are now literally coming of age, going to college. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be some little terrors out there.
Oh, for sure. And I think also what's interesting in the same realm is like how many of those kids are growing up developing businesses around just stuff that they do online, right? Like you hear the stories of like the 5-year-old kid who has an a toy unboxing YouTube page and he makes like a fucking $1 million a year.
What am I doing
like
with my
that?
life?
What am I doing with my life? But like take that mentality and work it in a way that is more sustainable for longer, like starting a business, or even if the business fizzles out, like starting a business and understanding the economics of that and taking that into adulthood, I think is just really cool. She's just really cool is where I'm going with
Yeah,
this.
and there's just so many little things, you have to, I mean, as we all know, as entrepreneurs, you just have to get into like a figure it out mentality. Like nobody, you have to constantly be figuring new things out and dealing with, like fires. Like she made this amazing snickerdoodle cookie, but it arrived literally in like crumbs to like 6 of her subscribers, so she had to figure out like not just, creating the website and setting up the Shopify account, accepting money, baking cookies, packing cookies, getting them to the post office. But then she's like, oh, now I have to figure out how to actually safely ship these cookies so they get to people in whole shape. Right. And just those kind of like little mini lessons and her having to figure it out over time. It's been really cool to watch it.
So we deal with that all the time at my big girl job where I run an ad agency, and oftentimes we talk to small business owners or entrepreneurs or people who are sort of like solo operators or small team operators who come to us with questions about marketing, and it's a whole deep dive, right? Like it's a whole other world, and it's almost like it's unfair to them that they need to be responsible for figuring out how to market their own business, because like that is my full-time job. It is a full-time job in and of itself, and they need to be making the cookies. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you can't expect them. It's not fair. And I say the same thing about affiliate owners all the time. The same exact kind of thing. Like it's really hard to expect someone who has to pour their heart and soul into programming and getting people into their gym every day and doing one-on-ones and doing, like making sure that they're coming back and emailing them and all the things that take up 30 out of 24 hours a day. And also, by the way, you need to be like an expert in marketing. It's tough. There's a lot. There's a lot to do to keep your business off the ground.
Sure. We don't really sell it that way. You think it's the, it's the rest of the 23 hours that you're alive, if you're talking about your health and all these things. And that's very, very true around any business. I think you start out, even we've been doing this now for a minute. 2005 was our entree into the world.
OG.
But you begin to, the valences of sophistication start to add up. I mean, I think it's a lot harder now to open a gym because, and if you're, affiliate owner, I mean, kudos if you started, because you have to be so professional. And I think we got a little bit of a pass early on. I mean, parking lot gym with a porta potty.
Yeah.
We could start slowly.
Yeah, what's funny though is there were so many people in the pandemic who are like, look at me, my parking lot gym, like I'm so sophisticated. And Kelly and I are like, oh yeah, just wait until you have like a winter of atmospheric river with your parking lot gym, and come and talk to us about whether it's all that awesome.
Yeah, fair. Live and learn.
Well, I own an affiliate, and I'm not sophisticated at all.
There's that.
John, how many job you got?
Right now, four, 5, maybe 4 or 5, give or take.
5 jobs, maybe.
Only one that's a real job. The rest of, like you can't count the meme pyre. It just doesn't count.
Yes, you can. That is
meme pyre?
totally a job.
Yeah.
Is that like when you use acapella in all the different words?
Pretty much.
Like meme? Like it's meme-tastic.
Yeah. Here's a true story about a college kid though. And here's what you guys will be dealing with. So Meg goes to the University of Cincinnati, and it was spring break last week. I didn't hear from her. Didn't know where she was. So I text her, don't hear from her. So I get on Find My Friends on iPhone because I've got her connected there, and she's in Utah. Just went on a road trip. Now keep in mind, Cincinnati and Utah are not exactly side by side.
That's a bit of a road trip.
A little bit of a road trip, and she's doing safe activities like rock climbing. So I feel really good about this. And at some point, she posts a photo in her story of her and all her friends, and they're all like cheek to cheek and typical college students, all smiling. So because I do memes for a living, I quickly go find a meme I created of these 4 goats side by side in the exact same pose.
I know exactly what meme you're talking about.
It says, "Here's how white girls pose for selfies," and I sent it to her like immediately, and all I got back was, "That's a personal attack." That's all it said.
And comma, I feel seen.
Yeah. And so I said to her, I'm like, look, you can't expect me to pay for your college with memes and you not get roasted at some point. Like it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, and at least you can be glad that she wasn't in like Mazatlan or something like that. I mean, I'd take Utah over Mazatlan.
Yeah. Well, there's no telling with her. Like, she could end up there. Just like at that age, they think they're invulnerable. They just pick up and go. And
Juliet,
do whatever they want to do.
I'm on Life 360 and Juliet will take screenshots of where I am. She's like, "You're in the bottom of the Batoka Gorge in Africa. You're like, she's
I'm
like,
obsessed.
where
I'm
are
obsessed
you?"
with Life 360.
And
it brings out all my
she's like,
worst.
"It looks like you're having dinner in a parking lot in like the middle of it." And I just think about if we'd had this power, if our parents could have known where we were.
Oh
in
no,
spring
no,
breaks,
they would
like
have.
we would just
They would
disappear.
have perished of
Right.
stress if they knew
No
where
phones,
we were.
nothing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I will perish of stress. You guys are stressing me out right now. You guys are already giving me anxiety. Like I can't. I'm in the process of dealing with this new house that we bought last year. That's like a total money pit that I am like just pouring every cent I own into, so that my
bless
kid
your
will
little
never
heart.
leave. So that he will never ever leave. Live here forever. Don't ever go anywhere.
My parents,
ever.
quite literally, I was wanted to be a musician as a young kid. So when I was Meg's age, and I played in a band, and my dad bought me a car, and we were playing all over the state of Mississippi, which is where I grew up. And we would have shows like down in Biloxi. I lived in the north half of the state, which is about 6 hours away. So I'd get in this little Ford Escort with two of my buddies and all of our equipment, and we'd drive 6 to 8 hours to shows, literally with a roll of quarters, so I could pull over and call my mom from time to time to let her know I was alive. That was it. That was all you had, a roll of quarters and a paper map. That was it.
Oh,
Yeah, I went on this
Yes.
trip to South America for 5 months after college. And by the way, I was there for like 5.5 months in South America. And the total amount of money I spent was $2,000, just to give you an idea of how old I am. But I was with two other women that I had gone to college with, and we had set up a thing where once every 3 weeks, one of us would call one of our parents, and then that parent would then call the other two parents to say they're still alive and they're, in the middle of nowhere in Patagonia. I mean, and we did that with like rolls of pesos, in Patagonia. So,
dude, I see your peso, and I raise you that when I was 20 in Nepal, I told my parents I'm taking a semester off, I'm going to Nepal, and I would fax my mom once a month.
And just
still
be like,
alive. Like
and the fax would
come
be
through.
like, sign of life,
I know.
mom,
I
sign
know.
of life.
Come through like
Now George is like, hey, father, my protein subscription is late.
For those that
Yeah,
are listening that are far too young to know what a fax machine is, just DM me and I'll explain it later.
And then, and then now fast forward to today where I'm like, what are you guys doing at Chick-fil-A again? I see you on Life 360.
Right.
You guys are at Chick-fil-A again. So I mean, it's real, talk about a 180.
Dude, I would not have been able to survive parenting. Like, had I been born in even just like one previous generation, I would not have been able to. Because
just
how everyone always
Chat
talks about like
GPT-4 coming. Just hold on. Like, I don't think you can even, hey, I can't. We need to ask it. You guys should do it to create memes. I need you to create a meme about X, or we need to say, hey, program for me. I'm 50 years old. I need to beat Mallory at the games. What's my program look like?
It's gonna happen. That the AI is about to come take over everything, and I gotta tell you, I'm ready for it. Make my life so much easier. Just go ahead and do it. That's
Excuse
totally
me,
fine
John,
with
but
me.
do you have a Maine Coon? Is that a Maine Coon?
Yeah, kind of. Hold on.
Oh my God.
He's not a Maine Coon, but he might as well be.
Hi, Bean.
This is Bean, and he's majorly grumpy always, right, buddy?
Yes.
He's just a black cat.
I do really like that cat.
We have a new phrase around our house.
He's huge, though. Look how big
He is huge.
Yeah, I mean, that's
He's
why I
huge.
saw him go
Massive.
by and I was like, is that a Maine Coon? Because I really would like a Maine Coon once in my life.
Same, but I want him to live in the barn that Matt builds me in the back.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
Matt. We have this cat. You guys will appreciate this. We got him. He's a used cat. He was like vintage, and so we pick him up. He was 6 years old.
He was already 6 when we got him.
And we fed him cat food. We went to like Whole Foods, and we're like, "What's the best cat food we can buy?" Whole Foods, and
It was like organic and
it was cat food, like
Breastfed.
bespoke cat
Grain-free.
food. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, our cat starts obsessively drinking from the drinking fountain, he's like screaming, like water.
he would like
me."
follow people into our guest bathroom when they were over, and they would he would scream at them, and then they would pick him up and put him on the counter and drink water out of the faucet.
And we suddenly were like, is he diabetic? And so we took him in, and they're like, your cat's diabetic. And Juliet and I were like, how do we get a diabetic cat? Well, it turns out cats, I don't know if you know this, eat meat, and they don't eat
They're
pumpkin.
obligate carnivores, which means they only eat meat.
So we were giving our
makes
cat
sense.
cat food. And this is totally the allegory for how we have fucked up everyone in this country is that we gave our cat food. Like it's
Which
diet.
had like
it's
our cat.
it's
food probably
organic.
Had
it's
like,
paleo.
You know, had like quinoa in it and rice and stuff.
So our daughter starts to, I'm like, we got to give our cat insulin shots. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Okay, no, wait a second. So Kelly, we learned that our cat has diabetes,
Cat diabetes,
and that we're gonna have to give him insulin shots twice a day. And Georgia at the time is like 12. She's now 17. She's like 12 years old. And Kelly is driving home in the car, and he says, "All right, Georgia. Well, it's gonna, by my calculation, it's gonna cost us about $1,800 this year to give our cat insulin shots.
Cat insulin.
So I'll make you a deal.
Catsulin.
You can either go home right now and kill our cat, and I'll give you $1,800, or you can give our cat the insulin shots." And let's just say, her little 12-year-old head was like this in the car,
She's
like
doing
side
the math.
head. She kind of did the math.
That's
and then
applied
she's like,
math right there.
Anyway, our cat's still alive.
So we gave him cat food, aka meat, and he got off his insulin drugs, and he has been.
Well, no, we gave him all meat cat food.
Yeah, all meat
right?
cat food.
Like,
yeah,
all
meat.
meat.
We gave him
food.
meat, and we cured it. Like we gave this cat.
So then he was cured. One
food.
year, he got all meat cat food, insulin shots for a year, and then we cured him. He was cured of his diabetes, completely cured.
But now we're recognizing.
So we always tell everyone, we're like, dude, we gave our cat diabetes.
That's
and then we cured him.
That's how much we know about fitness. We gave our cat diabetes.
Next time you guys tell the story on somebody else's show, when you get to the part we said we offered her $1,800 to kill the cat, or she has to give him the shots, I want you to finish the sentence with, and that's how her cookie shop was born.
How'd you get your seed money, Georgia?
The capital she needed.
I have to have a little bit more commentary to this, because fast forward to like 3 years later, I take the cat in just for like a routine checkup, and the vet's like, "Oh yeah, no, he's still good. Like he doesn't have diabetes. He's good. But I think he definitely has like a little bit of high blood pressure." And at this point, our cat's like 15. And so I call Kelly, and she's like, the vet's like, "I want to put him on high blood pressure medication." So I call Kelly in the car, and I'm like, "Dude, our vet wants to put our cat on high blood pressure medication." And Kelly goes, "Our cat does not need high blood pressure medication. Our cat has OCS." And I'm like, "What's OCS?" And Kelly's like, "Old cat syndrome." And so
it is now our catch-all. We're turned 50 this year. We're like, it's the catch-all. We have
so like
cat
if
syndrome.
Someone comes up to us in our neighborhood, which is a very common thing, and they're like, "My shoulder hurts," we're like, "Well, you have OCS."
I have OCS.
You have
yeah,
old
right,
cats.
John. You totally have OCS.
Yes, many times over.
It's a really useful phrase. You know why? What is it? Was it your thing where you're like, you're middle aged when you go to bed and you wake up hurt? Was that a meme you put up?
Yeah, I've got so many of those. I joke that all those memes are really just autobiographical.
Yeah.
Like at 52, you wake. Like I work out, 5-6 days a week, like anybody else in CrossFit. But I wake up most days and I'm like, my ankles hurt. I don't know if it's from the workout or just because I'm old. Like, I don't know. What it is. Like,
What is it?
Same, but different.
Yeah, you have OCS. That's the problem.
OCS.
Yeah.
And once you sort of diagnose yourself with OCS, you're just kind of like, "Oh, I have OCS. All right, let's keep going."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are we squatting today?
Yeah, exactly. What are these creaky ass knees squatting today? Every night I put my baby down, and I like nurse him, and then I like rock in the chair back and forth, and then I like get down on my knees and I lay him, and then he's like in a floor bed right now. It's like, I like gently lay him out of my arms into the bed, and then I lean back and stand up, and my knees creak so loud that it wakes him up. And it is the worst. It's the worst every night where I'm like,
"Oh my God, you have early OCS. You have early OCS, early onset OCS."
Fit as fuck.
I do.
That is true fitness. Yeah, I appreciate that. I can relate. Yeah, people think all of this stuff is just for like elite performance. I'm just trying to keep myself together.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
Show me the pill. If I could take Ozempic, is that what it's called? Ozempic?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking a lot about Ozempic lately. I don't know if you guys have been, but
what is it? Tell me what it is.
What?
Matt from
Oh my
God, you guys, get ready for like meme-tastic time with Ozempic. Ozempic is a diabetes drug that has now been grabbed by the Hollywood and other elite because it is really effective at weight loss. In fact, there's even a term now, Ozempic face, because apparently people lose so much weight that they get this sort of like skinny looking, but almost strange looking skinny
no
face.
side effects except diarrhea and like nausea.
And also apparently one side effect is that you lose like 20% of your lean muscle mass as well. It doesn't just, it's not just like, but apparently like you know, everyone, and if you just go back and like rewind the Oscars, you're like, oh, Ozempic left and right. Like nobody
No
needs to diet down
shit.
for the Oscars anymore because they're all
Oh
taking
my
Ozempic.
God. I should get Matt to come up here to talk about this if we're going to really get into it.
Yeah.
This is like, my husband he's a pharmacist, but he's a clinical pharmacist. So he like sees patients in doctor's offices. Like if you can't,
100%.
you know, you see like a doc or a nurse or whoever, like you can see your pharmacist.
Yeah.
Right. So he works with people with a lot of like chronic disease states, a lot of times diabetes, but he's like the kind of pharmacist that like doesn't like pills. He's the kind of pharmacist who's like, let's discuss your diet and lifestyle and et cetera, to get you off of your pills.
Right.
Well, no, he's definitely driving that train in this house because I'm like, I'm just going to order a pizza.
Well, and you know, what's crazy about it is I mean, I think for people who are, you know, seriously morbidly obese and seriously have issues, like it might be like a miracle drug, right? For those people, but it's just, you know, it's taken a real right turn in terms of
New York Times
like,
said they called it like an eating disorder shot.
Yeah. An eating disorder shot.
But
I think
what
you
I
give it
think
to
is,
yourself
I
with a
bet I
shot.
could be better at pull-ups if I was lighter. That's what I think. Like, how can I use Ozempic as a performance-enhancing drug to be better at the open?
Better at burpees and pull-ups?
Yeah.
I mean,
Less work. I mean, if
It might work for that.
I weigh less and I have to go up and down less, doesn't that make more sense?
Well, it would depend on how quick you lost your muscle mass, but
right, the muscle mass is
Yeah.
because that's the other thing that Matt always says is that lean muscle is the fountain of youth. Like lean muscle is really what's going to
Yeah.
keep us
True fact.
going.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
if you lose
we want to
that,
hold
I
on
don't
to it.
know.
Yeah. We want to hold on
I
to like
just
every
bet
cell of muscle we have.
Jason Khalipa today, I just challenged him that every 10 years, can we be within 10 kilos of what we weigh? Or do we end up losing as we become 60, 70, 80? Or we can become like little skinny Jason Khalipa? I'm like, can you keep this 20 pounds of muscle mass on?
Well, and Kelly's grandfather lived to be like 92 or something. And
He looked like Gandhi.
Looked a lot like Kelly, but he kind of like Gandhi at the end. And so when I think
Sorry,
of Kelly,
it's not funny, but it is.
no,
funny.
it's not. But like
Kelly
when I
looks
think of
nothing
Kelly,
like Gandhi. That's why
when
it's funny.
when I
I'm
think
not,
of
this is not cultural appropriation, people. I just don't want to be a skinny
so
guy.
that's my only potential image of Kelly at 90 is his grandpa, and his grandpa was like, let's just say very lean. So I'm like, are you gonna get like
He
so
couldn't
skinny and lean
smash.
like your grandpa?
Smash power cleans.
Yeah,
That
let's
weak
see.
old man.
Let's see what happens.
when do you start cresting that hill though? Like, cause I'm 52 and I have more lean muscle mass and more muscle far more than I did at 40. And you know,
I don't know. You don't have to. I think it's not definitely the research is that you're likely to lose bone density and mass, but you don't have to. Like you can just, keep it. It's just as you get older, it's harder to keep those signals connected. But if you're lifting weights and eating, there's no reason why you have to lose all your muscle mass. It just is trickier. I think as you get older, you're less active, all the comorbidities, you're like, are you eating 1 gram of protein per pound body weight? Chances are you're not, right? And then you're not deadlifting anything. I think we're going to see a first generation of people who roll into their, the back quarter of their lives, and they're going to keep a ton of muscle mass, and it's going to look really different.
Yeah, because I mean, I think most of the research is showing that it's like really there's a big drop off in muscle at 60 in particular, right? Like it's sort of a slow decline, and then people kind of fall off a cliff at 60. But I do think it's going to be really interesting to see amongst this population of all of us who have really like I've been mostly weight training my entire life, but like started CrossFit when I was 30, right? So it's like it's going to be really interesting to see in this population what that looks like. Like what does 60 look like for those of us who will have been doing CrossFit for 30 years?
Wow. Yeah. Oh my God.
like
When you put it
recently
that way.
I've just changed my mindset of what could 60 look like. Like I've always I feel like I've always had these short-term goals in CrossFit. Can I do a muscle up next year in the open? Can I do whatever next year? And now I've been working with the nutrition team at my affiliate, and I'm finally a believer in 1 gram of protein per pound. And it's been game changing for me. And so now my mindset is, what will it look like in 8 years? When I turn 60, can I still weigh what I weigh and have this much muscle and feel this good? Or will I crest that hill at some point, as opposed to just thinking about what happens next year?
I think one of the things we have going for us is we have this thing called the Masters, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go to CrossFit and look at the Masters, you're like, okay, that's it. Like I'm aspiring to be like a 69-year-old woman now. That's like my dream. I want to be as jacked as some of those women.
That's a big aspiration for me, Kelly. I'm not sure I can get there, but I'll try.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm true. Yeah, it's a stretch. But one of the things that is useful is to see that we do have those models in And there's some things they do. Like I remember at the games, some of the masters were like, we're not doing that. Like we're all going to get injured if we do that. Like, we just don't, there's no reason for us to do that in our 70s. Right. And, but simultaneously look at all the things they can do at this high level, maintaining this capacity. They spend a lot of time taking care of the machine. There's less tolerance for silly bullshit at that point, but there's no reason why you can't have huge aerobic power and big, strong, let's be honest, thick thighs save lives.
Hell yeah. That's right. And
you know it.
And you know what the best part is about that particular like 55 plus division on the women's side in the Masters bracket is that every single one of those grandmas wears lipstick out onto the floor. Every single one. Because they grew up in the generation where they were like, if you don't wear lipstick, you look like a corpse. Did anybody else's grandma ever say that?
100. Yeah. Grandma Georgia wore lipstick every time I ever saw her, day and night.
That's true. That's true. You know,
and they are, they
you know
are
what
badass,
I think is super cool?
Strong
Maybe we
ass,
should just
old
bring
ass
that
women
back.
in
I think
lipstick.
we should bring that back.
Those people
Absolutely.
have already sent their kids to college, no student loan debt, 401k, they own a house, they don't sleep on a futon. Like there's so many things going right for them. Health insurance.
I have to give a shout out in this moment to my friend Beth Rippins. She's my former Whitewater teammate, but she owns a CrossFit affiliate in Napa. And she's a legend of a whitewater paddler, but she actually had to have her knee replaced 5 years ago. And she just won the 60 to 65 scaled division of the Open and got a year of Chipotle. Anyway, we had a real field day with that. Like we had a great time just watching that whole thing because she was like, I didn't even try. I wasn't even planning on it. But of course she's a savage and you know, amazing.
I
And
can't. A
post-knee
year of
replacement.
Chipotle. Do you know how
A year of Kelly would be
problem.
like the happiest man
No
alive.
problem.
Year of
Oh my
Chipotle.
God. Yeah. Hell yeah.
is
I love
guacamole
that.
included?
I mean, guac is usually extra. Just saying.
I was just talking about this on my other show last night about the partnership with Chipotle and how excited I am about it and how much I have been annoyed by the manufactured hate around this partnership because I love Chipotle so much, especially the
Why is
guac.
there hate?
Where's the-
Yeah,
where's
who
the-
hates
tell me
it?
more,
Like,
Al,
what's
the
the
hate
deal?
about?
Tell us more. Who
Well,
hates
yeah,
it?
there's
You
this,
guys you guys are about to get really like, who the fuck hates Chipotle? We will
Yeah, we're like, what the
well,
hell?
you know,
Well, no,
there's
my-
Yeah,
the-
like it's our.
Not everyone in our house loves Chipotle, but let's go on that it's not evil.
Yeah, but it's
Well-
not evil and it's a go-to.
Yeah, that's my feeling on it. And, you know, there's a small contingent, the kind of the vocal minority within CrossFit that like to kind of pick on every decision CrossFit HQ makes because it's not being run by Greg anymore. And at some point, you know, probably back around the time you guys were starting your business, Greg did a speech about seed oils and specifically the ones that Chipotle uses. And this is pre-Chipotle, but they just happen to be the same ones, you know. And some people picked up on it and are basically trying to make it into a thing that it's anti-CrossFit and a bad partnership because it's not, doesn't fully ascribe to the CrossFit nutrition lifestyle. My counter argument was like CrossFit's had like 12 different nutrition lifestyles since they started. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure
like what are we
can-
even talking about here?
Yeah, is it paleo? Is it keto? Is it, you know, zone?
I
Like, which
remember
one is
being
it?
at an early CrossFit. This is 2005, 2006. One of the early, no, maybe my first seminar in 2004. And we're in Southern California and a Navy SEAL stands up. Was talking about the zone. He's like, I can have 2 Coronas, eat this,
3 elements.
like 2 Coronas. I can eat,
That's a
smash
serving.
this chicken and eat this guacamole and be in the zone. He's like, that's all you needed to know. And I think we've lost the narrative there a little bit. We got a little crazy with paleo. And, you know, is that literally the limiting factor to
Well, we
this
were
whole
also
thing?
just all eating sweet potatoes and progenic shakes back then too. So that
You're
was
not
kind of
wrong,
our,
Jay.
that was,
Dude, you
remember
are
remember
showing
those
your
days, you
age.
guys?
I was
Remember
never
that?
allowed to drink Progenics
Why not?
because Matt overanalyzes every single anything that comes into this house, and he wouldn't let me drink any protein that tasted delicious because he said it was all made of crap. And
I mean,
Progenics was
probably-
delicious. Oh
yeah,
my God,
it was delicious.
So
It was delicious.
Progenics
Yeah.
even exist as a brand these days? I
good.
have
I
no
don't
idea.
think they do anymore.
I wonder that too. I don't know if it does.
I don't know. But I'm only allowed to drink it only tastes like shit, anything that I'm allowed to put in my body.
Do you feel like,
I gotta
so
sneak-
serious question, do you,
sneak stuff, yeah.
can something be healthy for you and taste good? Because
Sure, yeah.
one of our friends is the CEO of Athletic Greens, and he had this thing. He's like, if I make it taste too good, people start thinking it can't be good for them. But if it tastes just grassy enough, then they think Well,
yeah,
must
so
be-
it
must be
turns out
healthy.
they could make. I actually struggle a little bit with all like powdered greens, but it turns out they could make athletic greens even tastier than it already is. But it turned out to be not good for the brand because if it tasted so good, everyone would think it was unhealthy. Isn't that weird?
That's weird. That's very weird.
This tastes too good. Add a pinch of turd. Great.
You gotta
Bring
add
in the
matcha
grass
or
clippings.
something. Yeah, seriously. No, I think he evaluates labels independent of taste. I just wanted the shit that everyone else was drinking because it was delicious. And he was
Do you
like,
guys
no,
do you guys
not in this
remember
house.
Dan John was around CrossFit and there was this thing called the velocity diet. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, Kelly and I did this in like 2006 or 7.
Remember.
Early, it was super early, maybe even like 2002.
No, because we were like definitely in CrossFit by then. So it might have been like 2006.
I don't know. Maybe we weren't broke. That's so we could afford this, but it was just like a couple weeks where you only drink protein
No,
shakes.
it was 30 days and all you drank 3 protein shakes.
If we're getting it wrong, Dan, we're sorry.
Was it
And-
the velocity of shit coming out of
Well,
your
yes.
butt? Is that what it is?
I mean, you kind of like, I kind of appreciated his mentality as he said if I remember the story correctly, he said he kind of woke up one
It's an
day and he
elimination
realized
diet.
that he was like 20 pounds heavier than he wanted to be. And he'd sort of kind of let himself go, but he didn't want to go through the process of, a careful diet
Eating
where
all
he
those
loses
fruits and
1
vegetables.
pound a week. And, he wanted like immediate results. And so he created the velocity diet and
Caloric
we
deficit,
did it,
all the protein.
and so we tried to do it, but this was back in the day where you could only get like these weird protein, probably not approved protein shakes at GNC. Like that was the only place you could go to get.
Yeah.
And
You
it's
get
not,
that
it's not
metal
like you could
taste in your
get.
mouth after day 2.
Yeah, and so after day 2, we actually were so overwhelmed by how metallic our mouths tasted that we had to abandon the velocity diet and go back to eating food.
Your
Hey,
colon thanks you.
Yeah.
CrossFitters were such idiots back in those days, and I'm
It's
throwing
so
myself.
dumb.
I'm throwing myself
So
into
dumb.
this group because I did it all too. But it's like if someone had come forward and said, "Listen, you have to do this shake diet because you create too much lactic acid by chewing, so you have to just have shakes every day."
Yeah, we would have all been like, let's do it.
Yeah, CrossFitters were like, "Yeah, chewing's bad. Let's all do shakes."
Check this out. There was a time where Greg was working with some athletes, and they were riding their bikes a ton, and it was making their CrossFit worse because they were tired. And he was like, maybe if you wanted to get better at CrossFit, you need to pull back on the bike. And I was like, this is genius. So I just started an internship at this big hospital, inpatient hospital, doing like cardiac rehab. And Marty Radovich is like, we only take the stairs. And so we like, it's eight floors. I'm walking up and down the stairs with her. And she's like, how you doing? I'm like, well, these stairs kind of suck. And she's like, well, you can take the elevator if you want, but like I was like, no, you don't understand. It's destroying my fitness. I was like, I'm becoming weaker. Every time I go up and down these stairs, like my Fran time is getting worse. She's like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, you don't understand. That's an example of we got a little. I'm like, oh, zone 2, nose only breathing. This is how I'm going to regenerate. But back then we didn't know. I mean, I was making gymnastics rings in our oven. That's how long we've been at this. Making bad decisions.
I baked my nanos in my oven. Remember that?
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Can we tell you guys a story about teenagers yet
Oh
again?
my God.
So this is very current for us. So it's kind of slaying us right now, but we worked with CrossFit as a partner for, 10 years or something. Reebok, of course, CrossFit as well. Reebok for like 10 years. And so, we had an abundance of Nanos and Reebok shoes in our lives. And we were very lucky. It was a great partnership for many years. And then it ended in like 2020 or something. And now all of a sudden the in shoe and our kids were sort of, I will say during that time, they were a little stank, right? Like Reebok to them, they weren't in CrossFit. They're just kids. And they were kind of like, whatever on Reebok, right?
Because Reebok was not cool when it took over CrossFit.
No, it was not
and
cool.
And it wasn't cool. Like the basics weren't cool. Like kids in high school were like sweet Reeboks.
So they would our kids would like wear a Nano to work out or something, but they, they were not going to like show up in a Nano at school or anything.
Superstars, Adidas superstars.
And so
I was
now,
the same way for the record.
Post Reebok partnership, the coolest shoe you can be wearing as a high school kid is like a white Reebok Classic. And Kelly and I are like buying them with money, and we're like, dudes, you could have told us this like 2 years ago and we could have gotten all the Reebok Classics in like every single size. But yeah,
Juliet still had a perfect pair that were missing laces. They were like jammed into the corner of our shoe cabinet. And our girls were like, what? These are just there? Like no one's been wearing these?
and I was, yeah, so
Well, anyway,
No,
needless to say.
because they are not cool. Oh my God, I can't stand it. God, and that's how you know I'm old. I am officially old.
Well, you want to
Because
look
I'm
like
like
a middle-aged
these styles
bro?
these days. It's so dumb. And you know what I look like when I wear what's in right now? I look like
nurse.
my mom in the 80s. It is
Aw.
fucked. I put on, I am not kidding. I put on a pair of like high-waisted, wide-ass jeans.
Drink a tab.
Right?
Smoke a Virginia Slim.
Basically, and like a white sweater and like a cardigan, and that was fucking cool right now. And I was like, I am Mina
No,
in like
you can't.
1989. This is horseshit. I can't do it.
well,
can't do
remember
it.
how there was that? Sorry, we can go on old CrossFit stuff. Remember there was that phase in CrossFit where for women all you wore was flare Lululemon leggings.
Oh my
with like
God.
the colorful tops, and then
And you know how they're back now?
yes,
they're
well, so
back.
our
They're
daughter
called
is
the groove pant, Juliet, and I
know.
still have them.
Well, so don't throw them away because in 2012, I was like, okay, I've moved all to
Moratorium.
skinny Lululemon leggings. I finally, every photo of me with my kids when they're little kids, I'm wearing those leggings. And then finally, after a while, I sent like 10 pairs of them to Goodwill. I was like, okay, this is out. It's gone. And now my daughters are trying to buy those old Lululemon leggings on like eBay.
Poshmark. Yep.
So save yours.
Yeah,
Save them.
I wore flared jeans the other day because those are back.
Can we,
I have them
John,
from,
can we bring back,
from the last time they were cool. They are still in my closet.
bring back board shorts and skater hats and
Cargo pants.
and
knee-high
socks.
socks.
Like
Yeah.
cargo shorts.
knee-high
cargo
socks.
shorts.
I think we
Yeah.
can bring it all back.
Oh God. I remember when the like crew sock started to become a thing and I was like, your socks are so dumb. They don't even go all the way up to your knees.
Amy and Naya. Who else? Sage Bergner. They were really like the culprits.
Of like the sock thing.
Yeah.
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 Amazing.
Well,
We're old.
everything has evolved through CrossFit, and I'll get a segue to your book because when I started, this is a true story. We've been 2011, 2012, maybe. I'm at CrossFit Distinction here in Cleveland, and there's like maybe 3 gyms in the whole city. And you got to keep in mind for everyone listening, in those days, we didn't have, back in my day, we didn't have like the plethora of videos on YouTube that you have now, giving instruction on how to do mobility and other things.
No.
So my coach would literally walk around the gym holding his book, The Supple Leopard, and he would toss out lacrosse balls to all of us. And he'd be like, all right, shove this up your ass. And that's what we do. And I would sit there and make fun of you. I would go, who is the voodoo witch doctor that came up with this shit? That's what I'd be yelling across the gym as I'm shoving this ball in my lower back and rolling around on it going, there's no way this is good for me.
No way.
You know?
Yeah.
And here we are.
I think there were some really good memes as well.
Yes.
Came out of that. And in fact,
Yeah.
I wish we could go find like the meme, go back in like the meme history of Kelly Starrett memes because there's some good ones.
That was the genesis where all the, people go, how do you think of all this stuff? I'm like, I had 6 years prior to that meme page where I was doing shit like that in the gym and not even understanding why I was doing it, but I was understanding I was having a group experience with everyone else trying to figure it out at the same time.
Same with us for the record. We had the book back in 2012, 2013.
It's 10 years old next month. 10 years. The next edition, we're going to put a percussion device in there, like a scraping tool.
Dang,
You can hook up a Mark Pro. Like, well, it'll one side will be a cup. You'll see. It'll be like the ultimate first aid kit.
You should take
That's
it retro
epic.
instead of like
You
a
should do
set
that.
or an 8-track
Oh my
That'd be
God.
awesome.
Yes.
Put it on a record.
CD player.
No, but it's true. It's you guys are OG and your thought processes are OG, but you are constantly evolving. And I do want to hear like everything that you've now pulled together for the newest edition and the new book.
Yeah, we have a new book. Look, Built to Move. I have it right here.
Look at it. Look at it. But I will
So
say
cute.
also just one on the OG note. When I was coming up here to turn on my computer and record, Matt was like, who do you have on the show? And I was like, the Starretts. And he just like looking at me and I'm like, Kelly Starrett? And he was like, oh, K-Star. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm like, when's the last time anyone's ever called you K-Star?
Well, now when someone's like K-Star, I'm like, we don't know each other. I don't know who K-Star is. Like it's a way that we've obviously never met. Like, you know what I mean? That you watch some video back from Nam and you're like, K-Star.
I can't stop with it. I can't stop with the early CrossFit fashion, but I don't know if you guys remember that old t-shirt that was Kelly's face and it just said K-Star is my homeboy.
Yes.
And I actually still have one. And you know, yeah, I still have one. It's in like sort of my like, you know, my little closet area where I keep like special pieces of, but yeah, I mean, K-Star is K-Star is my homeboy. We've tried to bring it back, but Kelly's against it. He feels like it would be obnoxious. You know, he's like, it's kind of obnoxious to sell a shirt.
Let's make
in
one.
your own company.
I will wear it on the show.
I will wear it too. No, you have to make two. We have to
we
make
can
two
do
of them.
Yeah,
I want mine to be a crop top, but the kind of crop top that's so long that it's no longer a crop top. That's where I'm at right now.
What's amazing about this community is that we have taught everyone how to train. The pandemic hits, CrossFitters are like, whatever. I know how to eat.
We're like, we're good.
I know how to train. I train with friends. I've got a community. Like we really did, I think, weather this thing. It was pretty gnarly. I mean, when we closed the gym, people definitely we lost a lot of CrossFit gyms. And I think people initially lost their touch with their community. But as a whole, those people knew how to take care of themselves, how to eat, how to train, because you just get punished if you don't. If you don't do the things, like you show up and you get punished. And one of the things that we saw in the pandemic was all our neighbors, like everyone else, they did not fare well. We saw increased diabetes. People gained weight. We saw substance abuse, depression, isolation, like everything trended. It was not always trending great, but I think one of the things we're always very positive about this CrossFit community is if fitness now is $1 trillion industry every year, $1 trillion. And we were like, what percentage of just bullshit is out there? You know,
most of it.
Yeah, it's so much. And it's not really truly changing people's communities and lives. It's not changing their households. And CrossFit has shown that when this thing works and continues to just take a, licking and keep on ticking. So how are we going to take these messages and lessons and actually see if we can punt them up and blow them up into the atmosphere and see if we can bring everyone else along with us? Eventually they'll be doing Friend in our garage, but that's a difficult sort of sell up front.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in the fitness business writ large, I think people are trying to sell like abs and butts and, a bunch of stuff that actually like 99% of people don't care about. Like most of the people we know, including most of the CrossFit people we know, just want to feel healthy and be able to move.
No, John and I still want abs, but they just haven't come up. Right,
different kinds of abs, like underneath abs.
I want a butt too, but I'm not getting that either.
So. Yeah, you're like, that's not happening. But they just don't want to feel like
the abs under the flab.
Yeah,
flabs.
Yeah, the TM. Anyway, people just don't want to feel gross. They want to feel good in their body and be able to like, jump on a bike if that's what they want to do, and be able to like go hiking with their kids or whatever it is. And it's like, the fitness business is sort of like lost the sense of what it is people need and want. And so they're trying to serve the fitness business. The massive part of the fitness business is serving like these 1%ers who are nerds and, super enthusiasts, and not serving
arguing
the 99%
about
of other people.
What is the rotational action of the hip capsule in extension? Like there's an argument on like internal rotation happens in extension or like, it's super cool. That has not changed the conversation.
Yeah,
I am thrilled that people
like,
are talking about
what are we
rotation.
even talking about?
But oh my God, people, like you are shouting and spitting into the wind.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the other part of the fitness industry is perpetuating image over lifestyle. And man, we could talk for another hour just on that and on, the terrible reinforcement of the way that we talk to people about their bodies in society. And that sort of like is a rabbit hole that is the true dumpster fire, especially of the internet. Like that's where all the like, you just need to be skinny conversations are like ruining people. But
CrossFit Games brought to you by Ozempic.
Yeah, it's bad, man. But preaching this sort of like middle ground of just like feel good, like stop feeling like shit, move your body, get up and do what you want to do with your body and like live your life to the fullest because you can, and you're not being held back by things that could injure you or cause chronic illness or whatever. Like that is, man, the name of the game.
We mentioned that.
Okay naked.
And I was just going to say, I mean, the body
Third,
image thing,
okay, naked.
the body image thing is a huge deal. And I could not agree more. It's a gigantic dumpster fire. But if you actually, again, talk to most like weekend warrior kind of day-to-day CrossFit attendees, or, the parents of our, kids, friends in our neighborhood, the people that we hang out with, like most of those people just don't want to be in pain. They want to feel like they're healthy. They want to have a body composition that's decent. But most of those people actually, like if you really get sort of under the hood, they don't care about a lot of that aesthetic stuff that we in the industry are pumping out on Instagram and on the internet the whole time. And it's like, that's not what most people don't really care about.
I saw that TikTok dance about shredded abs and really changed me.
Most people like want to be able to like go out to dinner with their friends on a Saturday and not be a weirdo who brings like, a bag of pork in a Ziploc bag and, doesn't eat, right? Like that's most people don't want to be be that person.
It's the least appetizing thing I've ever heard.
Kelly.
Then it's so true.
Juliet called me pork cheeks for a long time because I got into the elevator holding our baby once, and it was like holiday, and we were on our way, and there was only going to be fucking cheese plates.
Yeah, Kelly and I are like obsessed with the holiday cheese plate. Like it's
and
like
I was
the
like,
downfall
Juliet, we're going
of,
to this dinner, and there's not going to be anything there except like
there's
crackers
like no
and
food,
cheese.
but like giant.
And so I
amounts of cheese
stuffed all
plate.
this pork into my cheeks while I was holding our
It was
kid
like
in our
leftover
diaper bag.
pork from the fridge.
And we get into the elevator, and Juliet's like, "What is wrong with your face?" And I was like, "It's pork."
He was trying to pre-eat a bunch of pork before this Christmas party,
Pre-gaming.
so he didn't get sucked
Pre-gaming,
into the-
I know. It's
He was
basically
pre-gaming.
I was
Yeah.
dry
Pre-gaming.
scooping pork. That's what I was
That's
doing.
fine. I fully support that. Kelly, do you live your life consistently nervous that you're going to be hungry?
No,
Okay.
no,
No,
definitely not.
That's my
the
husband
phone.
to a T. Lives his
Hold-
life always nervous that he's going to be hungry.
Hold the
always
phone.
concerned.
Hold the phone.
Wait,
I'm
so
sorry. Like,
wait. First of all,
I don't know what
No.
Kelly's been telling you guys on this podcast.
no, that's not true.
Can't have him on here by himself.
However, there is this thing called the emotional support
Okay,
burrito.
yeah, what are we even talking about?
Okay.
Okay, first of all, Kelly's sole financial goal in life was to be able to go to the store and be able to buy a whole box of protein bars. He knew that he had like made it as a human if he could buy a whole box of protein bars. So, I mean,
Very
you can
expensive.
psychoanalyze that. And
Yeah,
then
very
Kelly
expensive.
does this thing that he calls the emotional support burrito or the emotional support In-N-Out burger or the emotional support, you name it. But if
It's
he
like a roadie.
goes back to Chipotle, if he goes to Chipotle and gets a burrito, he always gets two just in case he
Give me
needs
two.
another
Hungry.
one later.
Utah, give me
Yeah.
two.
So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't, maybe food insecurity is the phrase you used earlier,
Maybe.
but
That's
I
a
mean,
little. That's a little.
I don't know what
that's a
Kelly's
little
talking
aggressive.
about denying that he doesn't have that.
But that's
Because he
it's
does.
Because I've shown up too many times in like a weird town and everything's shut down. I'm like, well, there's no dinner, so I'm not going to eat a Snickers. So I put that
No.
emotional support burrito in my pocket.
Yep.
Good to go. Good
That's
to go.
Matt. That's Matt to a T. Or we'll go out somewhere like nice for dinner, but nice to him is only panic that the portions are going to be tiny and that he's going to leave starving. Like, can't even tell you how many times we've like sat down to a nice dinner and he gets the menu and he just like looks at me, panic in his eyes, like, oh my god. This is the
Okay,
kind of place
okay,
I'm
now
gonna
that I
be,
think
like,
about
You're
it-
like, we can
slices
just
of
go to
steak.
Chipotle afterwards. You're like, don't worry, we can enjoy this nice food and then go
That's
to Chipotle.
Listen, everyone.
Exactly where we
if
end
you
up.
if you have a
100%.
wedding, there's two ways that you can only get an A at a wedding, and
Yeah,
we
this is,
and I
so
grade
we
the shit out of weddings.
We grade weddings because we went through a phase of going to like 30 a year. and
All
we're
you
like,
can
well,
eat buffet
Yeah,
where you
that's-
serve yourself, and I can just manage my own protein portions. It's
Mhm.
totally fine. Or if you serve me a meal at a wedding, I'm
On a
going to
plate?
immediately ask you, do you have a second entree?
Yeah.
And if you're like, sorry, you can't have a second entree, all you could do at your wedding is get a B at best. Like-
Ooh, but what if there's a dessert bar?
Doesn't matter. If
Doesn't
I
matter.
can't get a second fillet or a second chicken
Mm.
breast or second piece of fish, or there's something, and we're like, sorry, we only have this amount of portion. Immediately you go from an 8 tier. It's like taking the SAT. You answer the first question wrong, you can't ever get an 800 again.
Mm.
That's what it's like. You can get back up to a high B. It's super
you
awesome
might get up
dance.
to like a
The-
B
Wait.
plus, but
Yep.
that's it.
Can
Yeah,
the
I've
grade can the
banned-
grade go up if someone objects at the wedding when the pastor says, "Hey, does anyone object?" Because I would give it a higher grade if someone did that because I've always wanted to see it happen.
There's
Never
always
saw it.
It must
always
have-
extenuating circumstances. We'll
Okay.
put it that way. But the best weddings, I understand where Matt's coming from. I guess
Yeah.
I do. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I will say when he first started doing that at weddings, I was kind of embarrassed because I'm like, it's sort of rude. Like, weddings are
Oh,
expensive. and
you tell
and, you know, it's-
people? You guys
and-
don't just grade them to yourselves?
Oh, no, we do.
No, about him ordering a second entree. Like the
Oh, about
moment the
the
servers would come around, they literally are like putting his plate down and he's like, hey, any chance you have a spare entree in the back? And at first I was embarrassed. And finally I was like, well, this is how it is for me. So
thick thighs save lives. These thighs are not going to feed themselves, woman.
That's true. That's true.
It's metabolically expensive.
Juliet just settled into the life that this is what I've.
This is my life now.
This is my life now. 2 burritos.
I just want to bring everyone on this journey with us. We've been running the greatest experiment ever in the last, 20 years of CrossFit, and our neighbors, we're so good at this and polished at this, and it's so normal. All of our shenanigans in our garage, and people are just like, look at those people setting themselves on fire again, doing weird shit. And we wanted with this book, one of the things we talked about a ton was we need a book we can give our neighbor to explain where to start. Because people are we're seeing a ton of people in their 30s and 40s and 50s who are like, something's got to change. And I don't know if I can relate to what it is you do, but where do I begin to untangle this? And we see that the local gym, the CrossFitter, or the family that's already doing this, we need to bring our families along, and our aunts and uncles and parents and neighbors. And this book is really our shot at trying to bridge that gap.
I think the other thing too is because, we come from, CrossFit background, and we had a gym for so long and employed coaches, and really saw the way we see coaches is that they're really on the front lines in so many cases, right? They're not just coaching people, they're managing their nutrition and health and sleep, and they have to be so much more sophisticated. And I think, CrossFit coaches are the best coaches out there who are really trying to manage us all. But I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's like, at most CrossFit coaches are getting their clientele either in group classes or privately for 1 hour a day. And there's 23 other hours of the day where people can, they still need support and sort of a roadmap of like, here's what you do for the other 23 hours a day. We're like, it's great that you're exercising, but unfortunately you may think you're a total hero by doing your CrossFit workout, but that's actually not quite enough to be a fully formed, healthy person. There's a bunch of other stuff you need to be doing throughout your day. And this is
we notice
you do these 10 things in this book on the regular and come to CrossFit class. Like we could change the world with that.
Yeah. Hands down.
Yeah, it's funny.
I love it because you're still. Oh, you go, John.
I was going to say, I was looking at the statistics on my Apple Watch today, and it said gym average last 6 months, 30 minutes a day. And I thought almost exactly what you said is like, that's not enough. There are other things I need to be doing to be fully formed. It wasn't a complaint on the 30 minutes. Like I think the 30-minute workouts I do are pretty hellacious most days.
How long does Fran take you?
About 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, me too. I haven't done it in a while, but I think it would take me 30 minutes.
Well, you bring up a really good point. I think we have habituated ourselves to thinking that everything fitness has to fit in 1 hour. And one of the things that I figured out a long time ago, we had 2 babies. Mm-hmm. We had the gym. We were cooking ourselves. You were an attorney, and I would do the 10, 10, 10 at 10, which was like 10 kettlebell swings, 10 burpees, 10 push-ups, or whatever, 10 pull-ups at 10 p.m. for 10 minutes. That's all I had.
It was elite.
And I'd come into the door and be like, baby, I'll be right in. I got to do my 10 at 10. And, I think we especially, look, if you're going to have an hour, there's a lot we can do in there. We can move and we can expose you and we learn new skills. But the actual training is pretty intense. Only like you can't hang for, a 20-minute piece. That's a big block in there. But if that's all you have, quick warm up, hit that. 30 minutes is pretty decent. That's you can get a lot. I can kill you.
Get a lot of stuff done in 30 minutes.
But one of the things we noticed in the gym is that when we would focus in on one aspect of these behaviors in this book that we've, been test driving for almost 15 years now or longer, since 2005, really is that people weren't being honest about their sleep or their nutrition or their walking around or their self-care recovery or all these things. And it showed up in their performance. So, this book, interestingly, also makes the backbone of what we think is elite sort of practice. So if you want to go to the games, you should probably be doing 10 out of 10 of these things. But if days where you can't train or it's only 20 minutes, you don't have to write that day off. There's still so much where you can be active and physical and prepping yourself. So when your window of opportunity comes to smash yourself, you can do it and do it more effectively.
So what are the things? What are the 10 things?
Well, Johnny, let me ask you this. You read this or flipped through it. What jumped out at you or surprised you about what we've done is tried to create 10 behaviors. And what we really try to do here is be objective. Like in CrossFit, we like to count things and objective, like in an objective way. Observable, measurable, repeatable is something we've been saying for a long time. So we took these ideas and said, hey, let's not just draw a line in the sand. Let's go ahead and give people objective measures about certain behaviors and certain movements. So we have sort of behavior, physical behaviors and movement behaviors. And let's give some objective standards like vital signs in there where then you can just see I'm above or below.
Well, the section on the 800-gram challenge, because I do that, and I was like, yes, I like to be reinforced how smart I am. So I like that smart. I like that part.
Shout out. But isn't it interesting that we've all fallen into that way of eating or a diet or whatever, and then you also mentioned 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein that's been a focus, right? Like, isn't it interesting that after all this experimentation and trying every diet and every fad and everything, that like we've all sort of, without even talking to one another, like that's the sort of eating style we've all fallen into that's effective and long lasting.
And everyone, right? If you don't know, if you've been living in a cave, this is EC Sinkowski's 800-gram challenge at Optimize Me Nutrition. EC, you know, what we started to see in the conversations that were coming to us from we're parents in a neighborhood and people are very confused. And they're like,
and also from our CrossFit members for years.
Do you think I should do this keto cleanse, intermittent fasting, shred blast? And we're like, whoa, hold up.
Shred booty blast.
Keto. And what we found was that people didn't eat fruits and vegetables, you know, and somehow in CrossFit, we're like paleo, you know, that banana has too much sugar. That's why you're going to be fat. You're eating a banana. And so we really see that when we get to the bottom of this, what we find is you're vegetarian, cool. You're vegan, cool. You're carnivore, cool. Your eating is how you're expressing yourself and your personality through the world and your personal identity. It's totally fine. We're down with that, but show us you're actually eating enough protein every day, however you're doing it. Because we've worked with enough vegans and you know, vegetarians who aren't getting enough, but they're not getting, a lot of them aren't getting enough protein.
Yeah.
And then we work with people who are like eating, but they don't eat any micronutrients because they don't have fruits and vegetables or fiber in their diet. So we're like, well, why do you think your knee's so pissed? You keep loading the shit out of it and you don't have any vitamin C on board with that collagen. So at some point we have to level up. And what we found through EC was this game-changing idea of you can change your body composition and you have to stuff yourself. I challenge everyone to eat a pound of cherries.
Well, the other thing I would
230
say
calories, a pound of cherries.
Both these, like our protein and then, you know, our grabbing of EC's 800-gram challenge and putting it into this book, is that I think what people like so much and relate to so much about it is, for those of us who've been in the fitness business for as long as we have, every other eating style is totally about restriction and what you remove from your diet. And these two things are really the first time where people can say, wow, this is expansive. Like, this is the first time, you know, we have people try this and they're like, oh my God, this is so much food. I'm so full. Like, this is so exciting. I can go out to dinner with my friends because every restaurant has some kind of protein and a vegetable. Like, I'm good here. And wow, I can count a potato. Like, this is miraculous, right? So it's really like the first time people have really felt like, well, this is something expansive they can do around their nutrition, which is really like the third rail for most people. And it's been really cool to see. I mean, it was expansive for us when we started it. And it's cool to see people out there actually saying, okay, I can perform and feel good in my body and be healthy and fit. And I don't have to, you know, eat 3 almonds as a meal.
And there's some obviously some variability. You're going to do better on a slightly different diet than I am. And we feel like that permission can be underneath these umbrellas. One of the things that worked for a lot of people in our neighborhood, a lot of middle-aged dads, is they didn't eat breakfast. They were like, now I'm intermittent fasting, right? And time-restricted eating, whatever you want to call it. And of course, the research has supported that was just another way of calorie restriction. And one of the problems with that time-restricted eating was a lot of people lost a lot of lean muscle mass doing that. That was actually the ding on it, is that you lost weight, but you also lost thick thighs.
Thick thighs.
And I played with it too.
Lives.
No lives are saved. So I played with that. And one of the problems was that I found that when I trained in the afternoon, when I like to train, I was undercaloried and I felt like shit and my performance sucked. And then also I was jammed to try to fill all of these micro and macronutrient goals into this window of eating. And I was eating again at like 10 o'clock because I had to get this 4th meal or 3rd meal in there to support my carcass. And guess who doesn't sleep well after they eat like a chicken and a bowl of cereal and 3 avocados and whatever else I'm shoving into my mouth at 10 o'clock at night, you know? And it really messed up my sleep.
Yeah. I bet your blood sugar was doing weird things at weird times too. Yeah.
I think the thing for me about your book, this one is, I feel like this is going to be like the Book of Mormon for CrossFitters. Like you can go out and convert people with this. I'll give you an example.
That is the greatest.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Dude.
Can we please use
that is so great.
TM.
But here's why. So here's like, I work in corporate America, and so I have a lot of examples where people will talk to me. They know I'm into fitness, so they'll talk to me about what's going on in their lives. And
you are fitness.
And someone said to me the other day that like they had some sort of injury going on, and they're like, all I need to do right now is not move and put ice on it. I'm like, you just named the two things you shouldn't be doing. Like you should be moving and you don't need to ice it, And that was exactly what your book was talking about, And I'm like kind of laughing going, man, if I had an instruction manual to hand this person to start fixing their life, this is it. Here's some easy things that you can do to start rearranging your life and get
Step
movement
one.
and squat and don't believe some of this voodoo science that's out there.
Yeah.
And we also see that, not believe it or not, and I know this is going to be difficult. It's a trigger warning. Not everyone likes to train.
Yeah.
So
there's
it's not for everyone. We have a whole lot of people working with us in the UK, all around the world, who are not they don't exercise. They don't like it. Doesn't feel good. And they're not into diet culture. They're not even into tweaking their nutrition for whatever reason, like as a hobby. Like again, two of our home sports are training and eating, right? So they can't even relate to us. And they read this book and they're like, oh, I can do all of these things. And I lost weight and my knee stopped hurting and I feel better. And I didn't have to diet and exercise, because we feel like if we're going to truly rewild people, let's create some platforms off of which then they can become curious, to take the next step. Do you need to resistance train? Of course. But do you think that people need to be told to eat more fruits and vegetables and resistance train? Like, it turns out people have heard diet and exercise a lot, and it doesn't seem to be working. So let's take this different approach and just say, hey, let's not make it about diet to lose weight. Let's make it about nutrition to fuel and take care of your tissues.
Yeah.
And do these other things.
Well, and I have to go back to the Book of Mormon thing, John, because I mean, really, that was such a big motivator for us. And I'm sure, I think a lot of CrossFit people, CrossFit users and affiliate owners, they become like what Kelly and I call the node in their community when it comes to health and fitness advice, right? Like everybody comes to you, right? And so even if I know nothing about intermittent fasting or nothing about keto or whatever, I'm still going to be the source. People are going to come to me and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about sauning? What do you think about this specific supplement? What should we do here? Like we're all the nodes, and how can I fix this? And what should I do when I get injured? I'm about to have surgery, right? I think a lot of CrossFit people can relate to that. Like they are the node in their community. And really, like, part of our thinking is we want to say, okay, you have like a stack of these by your front door. And when someone comes knocking at the door and says, hey, I tweaked my shoulder, you're like, here's this book.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Because you can't hand those people supple leopard. That is not like, you can't hand those people supple leopard. But, if someone comes to your door and says, should I do paleo or keto or whatever, you're like, here's this book. Or, hey, how much should I sleep? Here's this book. So that was really one of our thinkings, which is why I love the Book of Mormon references.
We do that.
Exactly it.
We have whenever a friend of ours gets a new puppy, we always like via Amazon send them this one puppy training book that we read that like
the Monks of New Skeet.
Yes, the Monks of New Skeet.
You're welcome.
Yes.
I saw that from
Kelly loves that book.
Yep.
Yeah. We send it's amazing. Highly recommend. It's called The Art of Training Your Puppy. And it is by the Monks of New Skeet, who are monks in Upper New York who have German Shepherds. It's amazing.
Shaka, rest in peace, was trained through the Monks of New Skeet. Yeah.
Yes. But we do that. We literally send the same, like, so it's a funny, but also not funny, because very realistic thing that you're talking about, to be like, oh, here you go. Like, here's everything you need to know. And please read it at your own leisure and
everyone,
impart it in your life.
If you're a CrossFitter and you're listening to this, understand you've been part of this experiment. We have seen over a decade. We started CrossFitting in our backyard in 2004. So we ran a gym in our backyard before we got kicked out by the neighbors and, started San Francisco CrossFit. We've been doing this for a long time. Plus, Juliet and I are invited in to these crazy places, from the 3 or 4 CrossFit Games champions I've talked to this year to, the England national soccer team or the All Blacks or university teams or the 49ers. We've gone in and run our models and also seen how clever people are solving their problems. It turns out, for example, we found out that working with the kids at Fort Bragg, that's Delta Force, when they have sleep related problems, their first order of business was to increase step count for the warfighters.
That's the prescription.
That's the prescription. They give them a band and they make them walk more. And so lo and behold, we're like, holy moly, we know that walking can be really good for your brain, and it's good for your neighborhood, and it's good for your decongestion, and it helps you fall asleep. Wait, this may be something we're not taking fully advantage of in our community. But between these high performance environments and seeing all of these incredible CrossFitters engage in this, we really feel like here is the tea. Like these are the essential behaviors that will make your CrossFit better, but also bring everyone else in. So you've been part of this experiment for sure.
And, I mean, honestly, it's sort of like the distillation of all the things after all these years of CrossFit and working with high performers and, being nerds about health and fitness ourselves. Like these are the things we do and we believe move the needle the most. And we're sort of the mind that's like, whatever you do above and beyond this, you kind of need to earn it, right? Like if you're checking these 10 boxes and then you want to go try some fancy supplement or, do some like fancy, biohacking thing, great, like go do that. But these things, like you've got to check these 10 boxes and then man, sky's the limit after that if you want to optimize and iterate beyond that. But everybody needs to be doing these things. And, our guess is that even most CrossFitters are like really have a bunch of blind spots here.
Well, I think what I love most about it is just how simple it is. I think the question I see more often online and, just from people around about us, particularly in CrossFit, is how do I stay uninjured? And they're looking for some sort of magic formula that is complex. And, they want it to seem like one of our workouts. Like it's got to be really hard. And I've got to struggle to do. If there's no struggle, it's not worth doing. And that's what I love about your book. It's not that hard to avoid injury. You just have some simple steps you have to do. But you have to
and a lot of them you can do on your living room floor while you're watching Netflix at night.
In fact,
right? It's that simple.
You really bring this up is that, I think we're always asking, where did we tell an incomplete story or muddy the water? Something that we own, right? Like, Dave Castro pulled me aside last year and he was like, I thought you were telling people not to exercise, that they should just mobilize. I was like, what the fuck? Like I was always about
read the book, bro.
I was like, dude, it was always about, hey, you can't put your arms over your head. Let's fix that. Or you can't do a pistol. Let's give you some tools to improve that. But it was always about biomotor output. It was always about wattage and poundage. And, one of the things that we recognized was that because we owned a gym, we didn't want to get on the ground and roll around on rollers. I have too many skills and too much shit to get done in this session. So that for us meant, oh, you better do this at home. That means if you want to stay after class, super cool. But we found that giving people 10 minutes of focused soft tissue recovery, mobility, myofascial mobilization, stimulation, end range isometrics, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes your like cult feel cool. You did that in the evening before you went to bed, and we saw adherence go through the roof. We saw people actually, feel better, and they started prepping themselves for sleep, and they slept better, and they came down from their late afternoon workouts. And, that was an idea of basically first time where we were like, we got to get so much of this out of the gym. And so how can we unload the demand of the coach to put out all these little fires and micromanage all the nutrition? Like there's so much we're asking a coach to do in an hour and to get fit. So where are all these things going to fit? And then that really ends up creating the framework for Juliet and I trying to figure out in 24 hours as a busy person who's heroically made it to CrossFit, where else are you going to put these behaviors in? And it turns out in the morning is really important and the evening is really important. So we've really structured this through behavior change, given that the assumption that you are not a professional CrossFit athlete and that the days you go to CrossFit, heroic, but we've got to figure out how to support you on all these essential behaviors in the rest of your day.
Yeah. I love it. I love that it's simple and approachable and not easily bastardized, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What I mean by that is like, I think that a lot of the systems and diets and lifestyles and whatever that we talk about really are rooted in something that makes sense and works, like keto and intermittent fasting and paleo and all these lifestyles. Like the root of them oftentimes is smart and true, but we've fucked it up completely. Like if you've ever read Dr. Warren Cordain's book about paleo, like it is very much not baking almond flour cookies and eating 36 eggs a week. It is very much like, as a human race, it makes sense that we react to these foods differently than these foods because our caveman ancestors, like, you know, rolled around in apple orchards like only 3 times a year, and that's whatever. So like, it all makes sense, and the root of it all makes sense, and the root of keto makes sense if you believe in having your body in ketosis for very specific reasons and not just all the time to lose weight. So it's like we've bastardized all these things, and what I love about you guys laying out a system of things that people can actually approach and accomplish in their own homes is that it's hard to fuck it up and make it into something that it shouldn't be, and then give you those reasons to like not do it or do it wrong or associate it with something.
We want to
that
wrap
shouldn't
our
be.
arms around all, especially on the diet piece. We want to wrap arms around all that. Like we agree, like keto is really miraculous for a lot of people. Rob Wolf has been talking about use of keto for asthma and some other really incredible things lately. But we're like, cool, you can still do this and be keto. You know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
You're lying about how much protein you're getting, and you're wondering why your knees hurt and why your gut is a trash. So let's go ahead and expand those ideas, exactly what you're saying. And then the nice thing about having a vital sign is it allows us to have a metric. Things that get measured get managed. So if I say to Juliet, my blood pressure is 120/80, she's like, that's okay. It's very okay blood pressure. But if I know it's higher than that, then I'm like, hey, maybe I need to pay attention. Or I'm below that, and we're like, it's not a problem for now. So when we give people clear, objective behaviors in these things, you should be able to do this, you should be able to do this, you should be able to eat like this and sleep like this. Then when you're below a mean, or you're having a value that isn't great, it's kind of more towards the red, you can think, hey, I need to focus on this a little bit. And I think that gives people permission then to make different decisions. As old people, we really protect our sleep, and sleeping is our jam. It's our favorite sport in the world. But we make a lot of decisions during the day that are going to impact the quality of our sleep, like walking. Another example is that turns out we discovered that alcohol is super fun, but really trashes our sleep. Like it messes us up. We don't get any deep sleep.
And like we love coffee and believe that we survived our children's young years because of coffee. Like we dream about coffee before we go to sleep, but we also know that we can't, neither one of us can drink coffee in the afternoon without knowing it's going to have a serious impact on our sleep. So it's like we're already thinking about and planning for our sleep.
So if we're out
at noon,
if we're celebrating a wedding or something where it's a party, and I'm like, well, I know my sleep has been pretty good, then I can make that decision, and I'm going to, have the greatest margarita on the planet, right? And I know that it's going to mess up my sleep, and that's okay. Those things aren't hidden from me. I get to make more informed choice about what's going on in my life. And then again, when we in Supple Leopard really tried to make the case for everyone owning their range of motion. That's all. Supple Leopard is all of the range of motion textbooks in any school. That's all it is. But expressed as a movement, is probably a CrossFit movement. And what we said was, here are the range of motions that you should be able to have so that you can do these movements that are so vital for your training, and the outputs will improve. Well, the real issue is that we want people to own their range of motion because it allows you to do things like have less pain. It allows you to move more freely, gives you more movement choices and more economy. So what we haven't ever done, though, is said here, or we didn't do a good job in Supple Leopard, was explaining, hey, pay attention to this. So these vital signs around movements, that's our app. We have tried to create really simple templates for people to understand I'm above or I'm below. That may be a component to why I'm sucking, or why I can't do a skill, or it's something I can control to make my body feel better.
Well, I love it. I think it's great. When does it come out? We got to make sure we get this out there. April 4th. Is that right?
April 4th. 2 weeks from today, actually, from the day of this.
We're trying. The real magic everyone knows is trying to make the New York Times. And it's probably partially one of the reasons is then people will take it seriously. So we're trying to marshal our friends. We just launched this crazy, sweepstakes
Contest.
giveaway. We're trying to incentivize people, but pre-orders around this or getting it in the first week helps us get it on the New York Times. And then we think we can spread it. We can basically show everyone, because we're so CrossFit transparent here. Like, this is our root. This is where we came from. We feel like we can take our lessons and actually go colonize.
So what date do I need to start doing the K-Star memes to really get the
boy.
thing to sell?
Exactly.
April 4th. April 4th.
That's the date. Okay.
Yep, that's the date. Yeah.
No, can we pre-order right now?
Oh yeah,
Can we
I
start
mean,
making
you
the
could
memes
start
now?
the K-Star memes today because it's never soon
The
enough.
K-Star memes.
It's
Yes,
never
bring
soon
it back.
enough.
And by the way, if you really want to make sure it's K-Star, you spell it with 2 R's.
Can I
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you guys one quick story before we sign off? We
Yes.
have our neighbor is a woman named Geraldine Barr, who is the sister of Roseanne Barr. And she actually was the writer on the show Roseanne, her sister.
Stop
So our
it.
neighbor, and she is hilarious and always working in the background on this sitcom about our neighborhood. We live in this like cool suburban neighborhood, and she's, writing the sitcom about our neighborhood. And as you can imagine, Kelly, of course, has a starring role in the sitcom as right? Like you can imagine, John, all the ways in which Kelly can fit some sort of basically meme character in like a suburban sitcom.
She came over to the house one time and she's like, "You cracked my concrete." I was like, "How did that happen?" She's like, "Well, you dropped your weight." And I was like, "This bumper plates on my concrete cracked your concrete?"
Like 200 meters away from your house. But
I'm like,
anyway,
it's possible. I am that
These
strong.
rubber plates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
That's
easy to
really
meme
strong.
K-Star is what I'm telling you. It's easy to meme him.
Who's
Please.
going to play him in the sitcom? This is what I must know.
I mean, great question.
Michael Chicklets.
No brainer.
Obviously.
What they didn't tell you was the more you deadlift, the thicker you get.
Yeah.
It's super awesome. Like my spine, people are like, "Aren't you worried about rounding your back?" I'm like, couldn't even happen anymore. It's just so
it's frozen
I just
straight.
insulated my spine with all of this meat. It's perfect.
Yeah. Perfect.
Meat.
He's made of
Ozempic.
meat.
There's a problem for that. Ozempic. I got this.
Oh yeah, we can
Next
get,
time
I
you
know
see
a guy.
me, that's
I
right.
know a guy who can get you some. I live with a guy.
I'll drop a link for the diabetes drug in the show notes for everyone that wants to get really skinny. It'll be great.
Ozempic face.
Only when you're doing your cardio,
face.
like you're trying to work on your you're running.
I have a race coming up in June. I need
Yeah.
to drop 10 pounds for it. So I'm thinking some pills and poop it out. It'll be perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
dude. I mean, you do not need your
You can
hamstrings
put
for
that
race.
muscle mass back on later.
Yeah.
20%
Or you could velocity diet. Just,
I mean, and there's that. And that's probably the quickest and fastest way to do it.
That's why
You
that's why I didn't do great at High Rex, Nikki. It was all the chewing.
it's gotta be it.
Chewing.
Yeah.
All the lactic acid from the chewing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you ate celery, you're basically just messing yourself up.
Yeah, you're just done. Just totally done.
Amazing.
Cruciferous vegetables. They're good
You
for
know,
everybody's gut.
One of the things that we have discovered, and particularly in the last year, wherever we go and train, we've been on every continent to teach except Antarctica. Everyone speaks training. If you like everyone knows what a push-up is in any language, it is the universal language. And guess what the second universal language is? Eating around training. Literally,
Yeah.
you can go to any country on the planet and find your people. If they're squatting, you know everything you need to know about them and how they fuel and where the best places to eat are and where the physical therapists are. We're working with some badass surfers who are on tour right now, and they're in Bells Beach, Australia. I don't know anyone there, but I just Googled CrossFit. What's the CrossFit Bells Beach? And then I DM them. I'm like, "Hey, who's your local body worker?" And it is they have sorted all of that out. Like, here's a gym, here's the body workers, here's the nutrition, and they just it's a cheat code to the whole world. Thank you,
What is it
everybody.
you're even talking about right now?
I'm talking about this community is the greatest community ever.
Fact.
No, CrossFit
Yeah.
is the cheat code to the whole world is like my new favorite phrase. And it's true. It's
I love it.
totally true.
We'll make
Guys.
that the title of the show. It'll be great.
The cheat code to the
Hashtag
world.
thick thighs.
Yep.
I'm so excited for you. I'm excited that this is coming out. Thank you guys for coming on and telling us all about it, because I feel like it's sometimes it's one thing to see a book on the shelf or to, hear it posted about on social media, but for you guys to really explain the thought process that went into it is meaningful. And I'm really glad you guys came on. Thank you.
And
Thank
for
you
everyone
guys so
listening,
much.
it's called Built to Move, the 10 essential habits to help you move freely and live freely. So there's still bookstores out there. Go to a bookstore and buy it, or buy
Pre-order
it
it.
online. Pre-order
Pre-order it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pre-order it. Help
April
us
4th.
out.
And
All right.
it's basically the monks of New Skeet, but for
Your
your
body.
neighbors.
For your
For
neighbors,
That's
for your
right.
body. It's the monks of New
Perfect.
Skeet for your body.
Yep.
Thank
Well,
y'all.
Thank you for joining. We appreciate it. Juliet, thanks for finally being on the show. I know Kelly wouldn't let you before, so we're glad he let you this
Yeah,
time.
thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Thanks for letting me.
You're welcome. Where'd you
All
get
right.
those shoes? Just kidding. Out of the
Bye.
kitchen. You got it.
Nikki,
That's all
great seeing you as always. For everyone
Love you
listening,
guys.
hey, thanks for joining, and we'll catch up with you guys soon.